Welcome, everybody. I think we're going to get started now. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Stephanie Rollins, an Alabama native. She is responsible for planning, designing, implementing, and assessing library instruction and information literacy initiatives, as well as assisting with reference and research services. She has 17 years of experience as a librarian, including working in a medical, federal, special, community college, and academic settings. Her professional interests include instructional strategies and learning styles related to library instruction and assessment, lobbying for libraries, and the Alabama State Legislature. Dr. Rollins enjoys running marathons, moving, traveling, collecting antiques, and cooking. She and her husband, Greg, an engineering service chief at the VA hospital, have two boys, William, age 15, and Nicholas, age 20. Please welcome Stephanie.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here in Mississippi and talk to you about library instruction statistics. I'm so thrilled that so many people came because a lot of times when you mention statistics, you're thinking maybe 3 people will show up, and so it's really great to see all of you here. Let me start by saying I'm a very practical person, and I am the primary point of contact for instruction. So last year I did about 72 sessions for instruction. It's my first year at Samford. And so, with all this new information about proving your value, that kind of thing, it's very important to try to capture what's going on with instruction. And so, with LibAnalytics, I've tried to do a couple of things. Not perfect, but I think it's got a more complete picture of instruction, a little bit better picture of instruction. And so I just kind of want to tell you what I did, and like I said, I'm very practical. I don't have a lot of extra time to spend doing a lot of research on this, so I just try to do things that work. So hopefully you'll take away something from this that will help you practically, I hope. Before we get started, and actually I'm going to, as a good instruction librarian, tell you what I'm going to cover. Tell you a little bit about Samford, because I know everybody wasn't here yesterday. They may not be sure where exactly Samford is and what kind of environment we have. And then also a little bit about how we've collected instruction statistics in the past. And then I did a really quick and dirty survey, again, I don't have a lot of time, about what libraries are doing. I posted it quickly to the ILL list and college libraries, and got about 135 responses, so I was really thrilled, to get anything, surveys. Some reasons why we might want to change, if you think about it in kind of theoretical concepts and why it's so important. And then I'm actually going to go live and do a demo, because one of my pet peeves is when people say, oh, I've got this great software, and then I don't even show you how it works. So I'm going to kind of go in and show you how easy it is. And then talk to you about kind of with LibAnalytics, how we, what the future of collecting instruction statistics looks like. So that's kind of what I'm going to cover for today. But again, before we get started, I just want to make sure everybody knows a little bit about Samford. This is Samford. In the middle, we have the library. That's the bell tower, which I've never worked at a library that had a bell tower before, so that was really neat. I'm used to kind of the typical federal buildings with no windows, and so it's just a beautiful campus. We're a small campus. We're located in Birmingham, Alabama, so we're not Stanford, but Samford. When I first started working there, I told this yesterday, I had to clarify, no, Connecticut, no, Alabama. So just in case you're not from the area, and I went to Alabama, University of Alabama, and I had not really heard a lot about Samford, so just to give you a little bit of information, highly residential campus, about 4,600 students. Most of our entering freshmen are at a very high level. The average entering GPA is about 3.68. Average ACT score is about 26. So we've got some really smart students coming in, and I don't mean to brag, but they, I just want you to know kind of small, really intelligent students, that kind of thing. Like I said, the library is in the middle. We have about 14 librarians and a total of about 30 staff. As I said, we are heavy instruction level. We did about close to 200 instruction sessions my first year. And I did mention I've never been an instruction librarian before, right? I did mention that? Okay, well, like I said, this is my first year doing it. So it was very busy. It was exciting, but it was very busy. And so that's just a little bit about Samford and kind of a little bit about the library, so you kind of understand our context. lot of sense. She's to the point. I really like a lot of her stuff, and I wish I had more time to read her. But you know, we want to look at improving instruction. That's huge for me. I want to make sure that students learn. You know, how do you measure that? You know, future assessment efforts. And then also, of course, we want to be accountable. We want to show our value to our dean, internal and external stakeholders, that kind of thing. It gives us opportunities to collaborate with faculty and other librarians, you know, to argue for increased resources. And then to me, I want to tell our story. I want to tell what's going on as far as instruction in our library. So, that survey I did, which I'll let you guys, it's on a LibGuide, and I'll give you the address to my LibGuide. So if you want to pour through 135 libraries, I just went through real quickly and tried to summarize it. I didn't think you wanted to read through what 135 libraries said. I can pull it up if you want me to. Okay. So I was just asking, you know, what kind of software do you use? What does it look like? And so a lot of these are kind of some of the technology access, you know, paper calendars with a little tick mark, you know, very similar to some of the things we did for reference. And then some people actually use like a combination, like they'll use Excel and then they'll transfer it and put it somewhere else. So what's nice about LibAnalytics for me is I just use LibAnalytics and that's it. So I can talk a little bit more about that. Like I said, some people still do sign-in sheets on paper, which I'm not criticizing. You do what works, right? You have to do what works and what you can have, the money you have and the time that you have. And then also paper calendars and paper surveys. And sometimes we do have external surveys. You know, we do like a beginning of the semester pre-test to the students, and then maybe at the end of the year, that kind of thing. But what happens in between that point? What happens, you know, between fall and spring and that kind of thing? What happens that whole month, that whole year? And then a lot of times, I didn't really find anybody who had feedback from librarians. You know, we all kind of talk around the water cooler, oh, that professor and those students, and you know, but we never really capture any of that data about how we feel like we were doing and things that we learned from the class and that kind of thing. And you know, getting faculty buy-in for some of these things is kind of hard to do too. So, you know, those are kind of some of the things I found. And in fact, when I asked basically, are you happy with how you collect instruction? No. 75% of people said no. And I'm not saying that I have the perfect answer, but maybe it'll give you some tips to think about how you want to do it differently. And before I got LibAnalytics, I would have been in the no category. So let me tell you about how, and this may be very similar to some of your stories about how I collected instruction. I was the main person. I had an Excel spreadsheet that people would email me and say, oh, I had these many students, this was the professor. So you can imagine how many emails, and then I put it in Excel, and it was strictly numbers. Like I said, every once in a while we have that great survey, beginning of the semester, and end of the semester, and that was it. It was very sporadic. And we didn't really have any assessment of information literacy outcomes unless we did a formal survey. We actually did project sales in the fall, and I'll talk about that for just a minute. That's a whole other presentation, but I'd be happy to share my project sales experience if anybody wants to talk to me about it. So again, kind of just sporadic feedback. So I'll show you what it looks like. If please just like applaud if this is what you guys had at some point. If you can see that. So we've got all the names of the instructors, the time, the number of students. And here we go. Here's our total number of students, the day of the week. Which, you know, for numbers, not so bad. But it doesn't really give us any kind of feedback. So, you know, being new into the instruction type profession, I was like, well, how can we ever improve if we don't know what we're doing? So, in fall of 2011, we got project sales. We did my first semester there, which is excellent. Project sales is a great generate these reports for assessment, that we should manage learning outcomes and assessments, and then my favorite thing is we should allow multiple librarians to have input. So me doing everything and putting all those statistics all by myself in my little office, you know, with a big cup of coffee, it's not super helpful, right? Besides the fact that I scheduled all those sessions. Anyways, we'll go there. So, some of the things, and then also the update I thought was, you know, some very key questions that we need to consider for the value of the library, you know, how we speak to the students, how we serve them, you know, our dean, in our department, all the deans across campus, that kind of thing. Student learning and success, you guys know that's our primary, how are we going to teach them, how are we going to make sure that we meet those information literacy standards, all that. The data, I mean, we have data, and I've gotten data from LibAnalytics that I never had before, so that's pretty exciting. So, LibAnalytics, and I hope I explained this right, because there's so many neat things about it. And I told the guy slaving at SpringShare that I should get a commission because I'm one of their best customers. But if you want to try anything that we're talking about here today, they have what's called an instance or a data set, or it's kind of like a little account. It's the best way I can explain it. It's free, so you can get one for free. So let's say you have a SurveyMonkey for assessment, you could still have a free one for LibAnalytics, and it's completely free. And how many of you guys have used SpringShare products? So you know their support is awesome. I mean, within 20 minutes of sending an email, you get a response. And so, very excellent support. But what's neat about this, as opposed to, say, something like Excel, which I'm not an Excel wizard, SpringShare is really neat caption, which you can be a data ninja. You can slice and dice your data, which is really cool. It's the reporting, because you can do so much with the reporting. They had an upgrade over the summer, and they've got some new reporting that I haven't quite figured out yet. But there's a lot of things you can do, and even with this first version, I was able to get a lot of data that I had never had before. So if you want to pull them up, you can do that. So again, what I really like that kind of, you know, the value of academic library report and their recommendation is that multiple librarians can enter these statistics no matter where they are, if they're in their office, if they're at home. They can enter these instructions after the session. And I actually have two instances, or kind of two accounts, and one is for the information, you know, kind of after the session statistics, and then one is a kind of what do you think survey for the students and the faculty. And what's nice is, especially for me, because I want to do a good job, and you know, I lay awake at night worrying that these students are going to go out in the world and not know how to do things and not be information literate, I want to make immediate adjustments. And so what we've done with LibAnalytics kind of gives us that information. Again, one of the things I included in kind of the survey I made for instruction is assessment of information literacy standards. So librarians after session rate whether or not they feel 1 to 5, again, not perfect, 1 to 5 if that session met those standards. And then I think we can just provide a much more detailed picture. So when you have, whether it's LibAnalytics or some other system, you want to think about what you're trying to measure before you actually go in and create a form. I think that's crucial. You know, what things do you want before you create it? So this is, and I'm going to go live, so in case you can't see this. So this is our instance for library instruction statistics. Again, anywhere you get to the internet, you can get to this. And then this is the faculty and student feedback, and it's also got some information literacy questions on the side. And you can see up here it says, what do you think? So for all of our freshman classes, and then as we teach instruction, we add this tab. And it has some, and I've improved upon this a lot, because when I first did it, I was just trying to get something done and see how it worked and everything. And it's got one, it's both faculty and student, and with the upgrade, I've been able to create a separate faculty one, because yes.
Add a tab to your usual LibGuide.
Yes.
That has this on it. Fantastic.
Yeah, you can actually input the form as an iframe, or you can have a widget that just launches its own window, but once they click on the tab, it comes up. So yeah, really nice. Okay. So like I said, all librarians can get to it. It's not just me doing 100 different emails I'm gonna go live, and one of the things, I may have this question, so I'll go ahead and answer it. How do you get buy-in from other librarians? Well, we all have to do evaluations, right? So with LibAnalytics, you can, of course, generate statistics for instruction in the reference department. You can also run a report for yourself. So if you take just those couple minutes to do that instruction statistics at the end of the year or whatever your evaluation is, you can run those stats for yourself and you have a report. Which, for this, I just got, you guys use Sedona, might hear Sedona. Anyways, an online evaluation system, you have to put in all this information. I was able to say how many hours I spent teaching, how many hours I spent preparing, how many students, how many sessions, which we do get some of that stuff. But I was also able to, include faculty and student comments. So, very, very nice. So I'm going to go live to kind of show you. Do you have any questions while I'm kind of swapping around?
Stephanie, did you populate the questions? Did you make your own questions for like the student?
I did.
And faculty?
Yes. It's,
Okay.
that's the nice thing about LibAnalytics. It's totally customizable. And in fact, with the new upgrades, they have kind of like basic data sets, but you can totally take that and make your own questions. And I think that's great because not all of our libraries are the same. We've got different kinds of things. And maybe you're trying to measure, all kinds of different things. Like this time when I updated it, I wanted to know if they had ever used the library before. So just kind of different things you want to measure.
And your slides are going to be on the MSU.
It will.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to give you the LibGuide where this is.
Okay.
So however you want to do it. So let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. You guys, it might be too big. You guys see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me just kind of walk you through, and hopefully I can type well in front of a group. I usually don't, and you can kind of see how quickly this actually goes. Okay, so we can put in the professor's name. So I'm just going to do, I'm not going to do that. Hold on just a second. It's hard to see up here. So John Smith, and I can put in the course name. We have a course that's called Communication Arts, and that's kind of what all freshmen take. I can put in 101. I can talk about, if I be as descriptive as I want to be, I can say our, EDS, pro-con, whatever it is you want to say about the activities that you actually did. And time stamp you don't really have to work with. It's just a kind of automatic thing. With the new upgrade, you can specify time and date of the session, which is really nice. Before, I just had to put in all the days, kind of thing. So I can say who taught the class. So this is all of our librarians that taught at the time. And the other thing with the upgrade, you can do multiple fields. So if you co-taught with somebody, that's huge, right? I didn't have that field before. So before I had to do co-teacher, so I can say Lori co-taught. And then the audience. And when I first did this, I wasn't thinking clearly. I just did undergraduate and graduate. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't have enough coffee that day. So I went back and I put freshman, sophomore, because sometimes it's important to know that distinction. So I'm just going to say, it's sophomores. And then the number of students, so I'm going to put in 25. The type of session, which for me this is very interesting to know because it'll run a graphic for you usually. So I'm just going to say, just a general subject overview. We taught it on a Tuesday. It was, again, I didn't have time and date at the time, so I had to improvise. So I'm just going to say it's our 2 o'clock class on Tuesday. How long the session lasted. And one of the things you'll notice is there's a red dot. That means it's required. So it could be a little bit frustrating for the librarian if they get all the way finished. It says, you didn't fill out everything required. But I think we're used to that when we do things online. And then what's nice is you can actually put tips. So for this, what worked best for me to be consistent was to say the number of minutes. So because if somebody did hours, and they did 2, and then somebody did minutes, it just doesn't work out. So I just would divide by 60. So I'm going to say it was And then when I was talking about information literacy standards, what's nice about the new one is there's a sliding kind of scale, but we didn't have that. So I said, please rate 1 to 5, and you'll see for that there's instructions. You know, please rank 1 to 5, and here's examples of what's, you know, because we don't always remember. I don't have it memorized. There's just not enough room up here for everything that's in standard 1. So I have kind of examples, and it's not required because we don't always observe these in every single, every single instruction session we do. But sometimes we have activities, so you could say, 5.
Now, are people kind of just eyeballing this, or do you have kind of a rubric that
We
you
don't have a
use?
rubric. That's something I'd like to work on, but I just, just
Yeah.
haven't. I mean, it'd be great. And I know there are rubrics out there probably already made on, And the other thing is, it would depend on the librarian teaching and the assignment, because sometimes that's completely different. Sometimes it's not really a group project, so you don't see evidence of that standard for groups. So, but yeah, I have thought about that. That's on the to-do list for that. And then if you didn't do an activity, well, what did you observe that might speak to these information literacy standards? Okay. And then, how long did it take you to prepare? I think that's important. I don't think we give ourselves some credit for the time that we spend preparing. It's just kind of a statistic that nobody's ever had. So I'm going to put that I prepared for 30 minutes. And then also important, we don't always remember, but sometimes we create a LibGuide or a handout or something. Again, you need to make sure you give yourself credit for that. So I'm going to say, no, it was already created because, for our freshman classes, that one is pretty standard. We use it over and over and over again, so I don't really create anything different. And then, what went well? For me, being the person responsible for the program, I have some input, but I'm ultimately responsible for the way we do things. I want to know what went well. And then again, there's some explanation there about, is there something that you thought went really well, something you tried, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to say students were engaged. And then, sometimes it's really good to know what went wrong. Let's say if the database didn't work. You don't always talk to everybody or go up to the systems person. And if I can catch that, that's one more way I can help with our program. Or one of the things we did this semester is we launched this plagiarism video. And from some of the comments we got from faculty and from students, it was totally just not. They didn't like it. And so mid-semester we dropped it. And so I had that kind of feedback. They covered it in that class. They were just, they'd seen it before, and we didn't know that. So it's good to know that. But if for some reason the projection equipment didn't work, these are things I can catch and we can respond to. So I'm going to say, hi, fast enough. Okay. And then what would you do what would you improve on in a future session? So you're always thinking about how you can do things better, And a lot of times we'd say, I need to add an activity. They were bored, they needed to get up, that kind of thing. So things that would help you maybe for a future session. Okay. And then we actually self-rate ourselves. And so if I get a lot of ones, I need to look at the morale of people that are doing instruction. Something's not right, So I'm going to say that I'm going to give myself my usual. Sometimes it's not a 4, sometimes it's like a 2.
Show what your question mark, your comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your comments.
Yeah.
Or how well do you self-rate?
Yeah. So 1 to 5 stars. And then the new one, it's got what's the thing, the little bullets, 1 to 5.
Yeah.
So you'll have a lot more, it'll be a lot more clear than others. But I didn't have that, so I'm like, what do I do? So that's kind of what I did with that. And then this average student rating of librarian and the student learning perceptions, faculty rating, and faculty learning perceptions, those are all things I would pull from the survey that I got that was on the What Do You Think tab. but you can see who co-teacher, what kinds of sessions, for different groups. You can export all these images, so if you need some charts and graphs, it's pretty nice. And then the type of session, what kinds of things are we doing, which is kind of nice. Days of the week, because like I said, I didn't have date and time, but you can see that Tuesdays and Thursdays are pretty big for instruction, and it could just be dependent on the fall semester. I'm just not sure, but that gives you some information maybe also about staffing the reference desk if the instruction librarian is going to be hit on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Be good to know that. And then what class periods were the most popular, and it's not really, it's kind of all over the place a little bit. And then, whether or not you created a guide, so we can say, the reference department created this set of guides for instruction. And then the department chart I'm not very happy about, but in the new one it displays a whole lot better. You can't tell what this is.
I'm still having that same trouble in there.
You have the new contact slate, and he'll help you fix it.
Okay, because several of the fields where we have lots of options, it's hard to interpret.
I actually did take this and put it in Excel.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you have trouble thinking, you can export it to Excel and you can make a chart. This is the one that I had to do that with. And then this repeat visit one is kind of a new one, so there's not really a lot in there. And then the other reports that are kind of neat are the numeric analysis. So this tells you, on average, it took librarians about 45 minutes to prepare for class. Our average class size is about 16. Usually lasts about an hour. And then we usually feel pretty good about things. We give ourselves a 4. And then again, because it was a newer type of thing, and you're limited to, it was 30 fields, you ran out of fields. But with the new one, again, I can have that sliding scale and it'll add it up for me. With this, I had to take it and put it in Excel, but it still worked out. See, and again, like I said, you can export things into Excel. And the same thing works for, let's say I wanted to run a report for myself. I do Stephanie Rollins. And you can limit days, so if you wanted to do just fall semester, spring semester, I didn't do that for you guys to show you everything. But I can just do it for me, and I can generate reports. So these are all the people I taught. That one's pretty self-explanatory, it's just me. But I can see who I co-taught with, what types of sessions. I can see what days of the week and the time, if I created a guide or not, which departments. So in terms of evaluation, I don't know if we ever had all this data before. we had in the beginning that told us, okay, that's how many, you know. And I don't think, you know, as busy as we are, we always have time to talk to each other about, well, this worked really well, or this didn't. Those things that you do over the water cooler, but usually it's one or two librarians, it's not everybody. And so, the other thing is we never really talked about the information literacy standard. You know, what are we doing? This is our best guess. Again, there's not a rubric, but it's kind of gives us something to look at. And like I said, it's not perfect, but it does, I think, tell the story a little bit better. So, again, that information literacy standards wasn't perfect because I didn't have the sliding scale and everything, so I had to take this into Excel. And what's interesting is that, remember I told you about project sales that we did in the fall? This is the librarians evaluating the students on sessions, and it pretty much closely mimics how they did on project sales. So it's kind of interesting. And then I didn't go in and pull up all the comments for you guys to see, but you can see how well the students spell type. But like I said, we've got, you know, our feedback on our performance, the student feedback, and then faculty. So kind of interesting. We never had that before.
Do you use the same form then for student and faculty feedback, and it's just on your, it's a tab on your other side? Okay.
Yeah, and so this time I'm doing one for faculty and one for students. Because the one for faculty had the information literacy questions, and they weren't sure they were supposed to answer them. It was just kind of weird, but again, I've learned a lot more as I've gone along and done it.
Are you going to have a separate set of questions for faculty then?
I have, it's not information literacy questions, it's more like what was the most useful skill we taught your students, and what would you lead your students to use, because we want to know what databases or, you know, that those kinds of things, not so much, do you know what a scholarly resource is? I mean, I think, I don't know if it insults them, I don't think so, but it kind of, you know, they just don't answer questions usually. So. And then I was able to pull this out, which is for the whole year. And what's interesting is, you know, we may give ourselves 3s or 4s, but our faculty and our students think we do a really good job. And I don't know if it's just that they're being nice or what, but again, that's data we never had before. And then this might be my fault. I'll take the blame for it. But I don't think my information literacy questions on that right-hand side were that great. And so I really worked hard on the new one to get better questions. So you may want to think about that because, you know, I don't know what went wrong, but like on Boolean keywords, which we know they have trouble with, you know, if we're making success at about 80%, they weren't successful on any of them, so I have to ask myself, did I write the questions poorly? Which I go back and look at it and I kind of shudder, but, you know, so think about maybe if you are going to add those kinds of questions on the slide, really think about the questions. And so this time I made them a lot better, had 5 or 6 people review them 2 or 3 times, and made sure they kind of matched up with those project sales skills, not just random information literacy questions, which kind of what I did. So this is the URL for the LibGuide, and the presentation's there. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. I'm sorry. Just 1 second. No, I promise I'll put that slide back up. This is the LibGuide that it's going to take you to. Can you guys see that? I'm going to make it a little bigger. And if you want to, obviously you can't enter anything because you don't have an account. But you can see, if you want to, the yearly report that I was able to put together. And this information, along with some of the stuff we talked about yesterday, went to every academic dean of every department. You know, we spent this many hours teaching, this many hours on instruction, that kind of thing. And I just put that there, so if you want to look at it, you can see it's just a lot of really good data. And then it's kind of a narrative, which is nice. And then if you wanted to see kind of the student comments that we got, some of them are really interesting. And if you did want to see that Excel spreadsheet of 135
how did you use the data from sales to maybe change how you do library instruction or do new programming?
Absolutely. When we did project sales, their worst skill that kind of mattered to us they all mattered, but the one that mattered to us was evaluating resources, and I'm sure that's not uncommon, because there were things like, economic use of information and things like that they kind of learned, plagiarism, but the thing that we dealt with the most was the evaluating resources. So one of the things I learned from project sales, and it was good to have LibAnalytics to see how it worked or how it didn't work, is we had a tab on our LibGuide that was an activity that was specifically tailored to evaluating resources. And I'm not sure if we're going to do that this year or not. It took a lot of time, so.
Do you all do anything with research consultations and presentations through LibAnalytics?
We do. We have another instance for reference, and so we've also been that went into that report to the deans that said did this many questions with this many different types of people, and LibAnalytics has like a template, and you can add to it to fit your library. And again, we did this before. They had all these nice, neat little templates, but it really gave us some interesting data. So we do that. We do track research consultations in there. So this is kind of more than one-on-one. Anything that's more than one-on-one goes in here.
Well,
Sorry.
I had another one. But
Go ahead.
you had a lot of fields on that instruction. Did you get any pushback from the librarians
Yeah.
about filling that out?
No. Because, I took a long time because I was explaining it as I went, but as you do it, it's like, okay, yeah, I know what I did. Literally, it takes me like 2 or 3 minutes maybe. And you get that feedback at the end of the year for yourself and that feedback for me, and so, it just kind of gives a really good picture, and we know what we're doing. Before we just had that Excel spreadsheet, so we taught this many classes, and I don't know what happened,
In terms of evaluations, was there, any librarian could see the other person's feedback?
Yeah.
How did you break down all of these, you've got all these, student comments, how did you get all these on, it's like, you've got a 20-page document with 3 columns of useful things, least useful things, any other comments? It's like,
Well, what I did was a lot of them are sometimes, I copied it and pasted it. I did it per class. I didn't do it at the end of the year because that would have been way too much. So after, somebody had a class, I'd go into that, I'd run it, and I'd take the student comments, and a lot of them are the same, like multi-search, multi-search, multi-search. So I would just kind of edit out and put the things that they said were useful and weren't useful.
okay, so it's not as if it's going to be repeating the same things,
Right.
but you do make notes as far as how often that's done, right? How often that's done, right?
What do you mean, how often
As
that's?
far as multi-search.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess a 2-part question. I was wondering how many instances total you used?
Okay.
Did you have to, propose, I know after one instance there's a charge for
Right.
that next tier. Did you use that free instance to justify making that next level purchase, and how did you
I think
work
we
that?
bought the minimum. And so I had we actually, I think, bought 5 maybe, because we thought we might want to do like a customer satisfaction survey, different things, we didn't know. And once you make one, if you decide that after a while, like you do one in the fall for some customer thing, you can delete it and start over again, and you still have that data set, which is nice.
Okay.
So like the one I did to gather what you guys thought, I can delete that and do something else and use it. We have 10 right now, and I think that might be wise because I heard that they're going to take everything else and import it into LibAnalytics, like the reference one that's separate by itself. So, and then what was your other question? So I didn't have a free one to justify. I just knew that it would be great, but then when I was just using 2, like I said, the faculty part of it was a little bit confusing, but it still worked.
Yeah.
And I think you could do one for free and do everything that you want because they have 50 fields.
Yeah, I could see us needing more than one, using that for a lot of things. But I know that's something that I would have to justify, okay, why do you think you want to, go to this next level? So I was thinking about using the free one to generate some things that I could say, this is how we're using it and this is where I'd like to take it.
And you can say this is data that we can give to the dean, to the university to show that how we're meeting our mission, that we we don't have any other way except in Excel, and it doesn't really help us, tell the complete picture.
We bought this after our evaluation committee, our assessment and evaluation committee looked at several different options, and it was by far the cheapest option was out there. And one of the things we were interested in is pushing it beyond reference and library instruction, because we thought there was a lot of uncaptured interaction going on in the library that we weren't, and it is. I mean, there were definitely people who were doing instruction sessions, who were answering reference questions, but we really were losing that data, and so we were trying to get a library-wide picture of that.
We're also using it for our student workers and how they're spending their time, what are they doing with their tasks. Circulation uses it for special collections. And I'm sure there's other software out there and things you can use, but this is just so uncomplicated. And for somebody like me that's so busy, to have any assessment data is gravy, because I'm just so busy. This is so easy to use. And like I said, you guys know SpringShare. I mean, I've been working with Slade, and I'm like, this didn't work right. And it's like, do you mean this or this or this? He gets it. He understands what you're talking about. So I've never had technical support like that. It's.
I'm really interested in kind of the reflective part you put in there. So I went to a really interesting presentation as well. It's at the West, I guess in June, with Bowling Green librarians who had read Libby's book on reflective.
Yeah, that's where I got those questions from.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And they were just saying how transformative it was for their own instruction. And it's certainly
Absolutely.
something that I've been thinking about in our department. Have you gotten any feedback from the librarians about that part of
They
it?
love it. They
Okay.
love it. They love the student comments, the faculty comments. They love knowing,
What
this is
about the reflective part?
They like that too, because they can go back and run a report for those comments as well, for just themselves. So, and at the end of the year, I didn't put on there, but I have, librarian and student all in one. So it's not just me, it's everybody's, there's no name, but you can see how everybody's feeling about everything, and what they tried that worked, and things we need to think about. Everybody can do that.
I guess you could kind of chart your evolution, so to speak, over your development as an instructor.
But I didn't have any kind of resistance or, to buying into this. They could see the need, and they saw what kind of data they got. And maybe I did something special. I don't know. I just did what I thought would work. So maybe that's part of it. They got things they never had before.
Any other questions? Since this was your first year doing this, now you're about to go into your second year, maybe are there a few things you can say you take away? I mean, you said like along the way you saw like a plagiarism video wasn't working.
Right.
Maybe just a couple of other things.
When I was talking about that evaluation activity, we make them get up and find the lib guide that they needed. So there's a lot of stuff that was kind of rudimentary that I think I would drop out, that I've learned about that. We've learned that there's a threshold, I've learned in this, there's a threshold, and some of the things I'd like to do is do a pretest, so we know how many library instruction sessions they've had, if they know about multi-search, which is our EDS, if they know about the library, because there's no point in telling them the library's hours if they know it or if they can find it, or we're wasting our time on the minutia when we could be teaching them information literacy. So if we know some of those things going in, so that's something I want to try this year is before we have them, what have they done? But yeah, that's a couple of things. Learn to delegate. I don't have to do every single library instruction session. I can share it, and very happy to share now. But I didn't, I was just trying to figure everything out in the beginning, so I wanted to do as many as possible.
Just to follow up, I mean, it's more related to like instruction than like, but have you figured out any kind of way to like avoid overlap? Like that it's one thing it seems, like some students end up going to the same type of session like multiple times.
And that was one of the things we saw in the comments, is I've had this before, I've had this before.